If you don't play well tonight, this might be your last day in the NBA. That's what Jeremy Lin's agent told him the day before he was suiting up to play against the Brooklyn Nets. Just 2 weeks before this night, Lin was sleeping on his brother's couch, unsure if he could stay in the league. But this game against the Brooklyn Nets was his opportunity to continue to chase his dream and become a global phenomenon for the weeks to come. Lin was born to a Taiwanese American family in Torrance, California, and was raised in the Bay Area city of Palo Alto. The first crazy part of the story is that both of Jeremy Lin's parents stood about 5 foot 6 inches tall, and Lin was obsessed with basketball, and his parents never understood this, but they said as long as he had good grades, he could continue to play, and because of his love for the game, Lin always had good grades. Jeremy Lin captained the Palo Alto High School basketball team his senior year and helped to lead the team to a 32-1 record and upset the nationally ranked Mater Dei to grab the CIF Division II state title. He was named First Team All-State and Northern California Division II Player of the Year and averaged 15.1 points, 7.1 assists, 6.2 rebounds, and 5 steals his senior year. Despite this stellar performance, he received no Division I offers. Lin was constantly reaching out to coaches by sending his resume and DVD highlights of his career thus far to all of the Ivy League schools and other schools, University of California, Berkeley, and even Stanford. All of the schools wanted him to walk on rather than be offered a scholarship. However, there were 2 schools that guaranteed him a roster spot, Brown and Harvard. However, Ivy League schools didn't offer scholarships for sports. The initial impressions weren't all that great, and Bill Holden, who was the Harvard's assistant coach, went on record stating that Lin was a Division III player at best. He later changed his mind when watching Lin in a high-level game playing with no fear. It appears he was overlooked because it was due to some racial bias and not passing the eye test. Rex Walters said, "Most colleges start recruiting a guy in the first 5 minutes they see him because he runs really fast, jumps really high, or does a quick, easy thing to evaluate." Jeremy Lin would go on to become a standout player at Harvard. A Harvard coach remembered Lin as being the weakest guy on the team in his freshman year, but in his sophomore season he started making strides, averaging 12.6 points a game and being named to an All-Ivy League second team. Come his junior year, he was the only Division I men's player ranked in the top 10 in his conference for points, rebounds, assists, steals, block shots, free throw percentage, and three-point percentage at the same time, and was a shoo-in for All-Ivy First League team. Come his senior year, it was no different. Lin averaged 16.4 points, 4.4 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 2.5 steals, and 1.1 blocks, and was again selected for All-Ivy League First Team, finishing as a finalist for the John Wooden Award and Bob Cousy Award, and ESPN named him one of the 12 most versatile players in college basketball. This season set a number of records including wins, total and road and home wins. Lin was the first player with at least 1,450 points, 450 rebounds, 400 assists, and 200 steals, and he did all of this while maintaining a 3.1 GPA and graduating with a degree in economics. Despite this insane performance, Lin went undrafted in 2010. New York Times later described him as a smart passer with a flawed jump shot and a thin frame, who might not have the strength and athleticism to defend, create his own shot, or finish at the rim in the NBA. Lin joined the Mavericks for a minicamp as well as their summer league team, and in 5 summer league games playing both the point and the shooting guard positions, Lin averaged 9.8 points, 3.2 rebounds, and 1.8 assists, and shot a team-leading 54.5% from the floor. He received offers from the Mavericks, Warriors, and Lakers, and in July 2010, Lin signed a 2-year deal with the Golden State Warriors and a 3-year guaranteed deal with Nike. When he signed with the Warriors, he became the first American of Chinese or Taiwanese descent to play in the NBA. Lin loved the support he received from the fans, especially the Asian American community. Lin started on the inactive list but made his NBA debut the next game during the Warriors' Asian Heritage Night. He received a standing ovation in the final minutes, and in the next game, Lin got his first NBA basket and had 3 assists and 4 steals against the Lakers. He didn't play much though this season, as he sat behind 2 ball-dominant guards in Steph Curry and Monte Ellis. He was then assigned to the G League affiliate 3 different times and played very well there. Averages of 18 points, 5.8 boards, and 4.5 assists, the Warriors saw Lin as a backup for Curry at best. He recovered from an injury during the 2011 NBA lockout, and in September 2011, played a few games for a club in the CBA called the Dongguan Leopards, and won a tournament MVP there. Lin put in a ton of work that offseason on his jump shot, strength, and vertical. He was waived from the Warriors in 2011 to free up cap space and missed out on the money that would have become guaranteed in 2012. He was then claimed off the waivers by the Rockets and played in 2 preseason games, but Houston already had point guards in Kyle Lowry, Goran Dragic, and Johnny Flynn. All 3 of those point guards were on guaranteed contracts, and Lin was waived for cap space to sign a center. After that, Lin was grabbed off the waivers by the Knicks as a 4th-string point guard and spent a week on his brother's couch, wondering when his last day in the league was going to be. Lin was fighting to be a 12th to 15th man on the roster. The Knicks had waived Chauncey Billups for cap space to sign Tyson Chandler. Lin took advantage of this opportunity by showing his work ethic to the coaches, showing up early, leaving late, and working with the skill coaches to improve. In January of 2012, Lin was assigned to the G League team, the Erie Bayhawks, and recorded a triple-double, and a few days later, was recalled by the New York Knicks. Baron Davis delayed his debut due to some pain and an infection. This while the Knicks were thinking about releasing Lin. However, the Knicks dropped a 4th quarter lead to the Boston Celtics, and the coach, Mike D'Antoni, well, he got desperate, and he decided to play Lin. The Knicks fans were demanding the team fire D'Antoni, so he had to try something, as all the other guards had failed to run his offense. And that chance came on February 4th, 2012. The Knicks played the Brooklyn Nets, and Jeremy Lin matched up with Deron Williams, who at the time was an all-star caliber player. Lin went crazy, dropping 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists in a victory. Carmelo Anthony suggested to D'Antoni that Lin should play more due to his current run. The next game he made his first start against the Utah Jazz without any other stars, and this is where he begins to write history. The game against the Jazz was just the start. The Knicks went on a 7-game win streak. Lin had 28 points and 8 assists. Stoudemire and Carmelo Anthony would miss the next 3 and 7 games respectively, and D'Antoni intended to ride the wave that was being created by Jeremy Lin. Lin then dropped 23 and 10 against John Wall and the Wizards, which was his first double-double of his entire career. And the best part might be the 38 points against Kobe Bryant and his Laker team, where he outscored Kobe, who had had 34 that game. The New York Times wondered if Lin was the Knicks' grandest stroke of fortune since Patrick Ewing. Lin then had 20 points and 8 assists against the Timberwolves, where he hit a game-winning free throw and was named Eastern Conference Player of the Week after averaging 27.3 points, 8.3 assists, and 2 steals in 4 starts, where the Knicks won all 4 games. Lastly, he had made a game-winning three-pointer against the Raptors. Lin continued the success against the Kings, dropping 13 assists, and a win against the Mavericks where he handed out 28 points after a loss against the Hornets where he had 26. He became a global sensation, where his jersey sales rose, and at the end of the season where he became a restricted free agent, the New York Times called Lin the most popular player in the recent decade, and said he single-handedly saved the New York Knicks season. This didn't come without issues though. There are multiple stories regarding Knicks players having issues with Lin, the biggest name being Amari Stoudemire. Also, multiple stories regarding how Carmelo Anthony pushed him out because Melo liked being the star player. Which fits because in Melo's latter years, he was out of the league for being too ball dominant. Now I'm a Melo fan, so no hate. Lin also endured racism, the worst being an ESPN article with the headline, "Chink in the Armor," after a loss to the Hornets team ending the Knicks winning streak. The headline was up for 35 minutes and then taken down and the writer was fired. I think whoever approved the article probably should have been fired too. Because of all of this, Lin started to struggle with his identity, the expectation of him in the NBA, and even belonging in the league. This probably wasn't helped by the Knicks encouraging him to seek other offers after his year. ESPN said the Knicks would match any offer, and this year would test him more than any other year in the league. The Houston Rockets offered a $28.8 million deal over 4 years, with the 4th year being a team option, which put the true commitment at $19.5. The Rockets then revised it to a $25 million deal that the Knicks chose not to match, and they signed Raymond Felton instead. The contract was structured to deter the Knicks, the first 2 years being $5 million and $5.225 million, with the third year being a $14.8 million deal. The higher dollar amount was known as a poison pill to discourage New York from matching, and it worked. The Rockets made Lin the center of their new age publicity campaign, coming off his Linsanity performance. The Houston coach, Kevin McHale, said the expectations of Lin were undue because Lin had never played a whole 82-game season before. Then, right before the season started, the Rockets acquired James Harden, who played very similar to Lin, ball dominant, and loved to use the pick and roll a lot. Lin struggled and began losing playing time to Tony Douglas. One game, with Harden sitting out due to an injury, Lin scored 38 points against the Spurs, but when you look at the numbers, they suggested that Lin and Harden were more productive when one of them was on the bench while the other played. In 2014, Jeremy Lin was replaced by Patrick Beverley and became the second unit's primary ball handler and scoring option. In November, Lin established the highest two-game scoring totals of his career, 65 points. The season, Lin struggled with a sprained right knee and some mental tolls. He finished the season with averages of 12.5 points and 4.1 assists, with career highs in field goal, three-point percentage, and free throw percentage. He then bounced around several teams, Lakers, Hornets, Nets, and Raptors, with no serious notes outside of the season with the Raptors, which we'll get into a little bit later. Lin openly shared his struggles with depression and feeling unwanted, mostly on his YouTube channel, documenting his struggles in a league that by all accounts was against his success. He said that he felt like his darkest moments, the NBA had given up on him. His words resonated. He wasn't just talking about basketball. He was talking about value, belonging, and burnout. Many Asian American fans who had once seen him as the invincible now saw the human behind the jersey. Jeremy Lin had become a mirror for so many, hardworking, underestimated, and battling to be seen. After clearing the waivers, Lin signed with the Toronto Raptors on February 13th, 2019, thus joining a playoff contender. The Raptors were expecting backup point guard Fred VanVleet to be out with an injury for 3 weeks and had recently traded guard DeLon Wright. Lin struggled with the Raptors, averaging 7 points and 2.2 assists. During the playoffs, Lin was relegated to garbage time minutes as the Raptors relied on Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet. Toronto then advanced to the finals against the Golden State Warriors, and Jeremy Lin became the first Asian American player to win an NBA title. Then he went overseas. He signed with the Beijing Ducks for a reported $3 million a year, and also had offers to play in Russia, Israel, and the EuroLeague. His debut, he handed out 25 points, 9 assists, and 6 boards, and named a starter for the All-Star game, and scoring 41 points in the All-Star game, and then the CBA postponed the season due to COVID-19. Lin finished the season with averages of 22.3 points, 5.7 boards, and 5.6 assists. Played for the Santa Cruz Warriors in 2021, but couldn't get a clearance letter from the Beijing Ducks. The NBA teams passed a new rule allowing NBA teams to designate a 5-year NBA vet to fill a spot on their G League team, and on January 9th of 2021, the Santa Cruz Warriors announced that Lin was added through the new NBA vet rule, which some people dubbed the Jeremy Lin rule. Linsanity challenged numerous racial stereotypes in basketball and inspired generations of Asian American athletes. Multiple articles detailing his ethnicity as a flaw in his game, but Lin did so many great things for the community around the game of basketball. Through his YouTube channel, he collabed with many Asian influencers, and Time magazine labeled him as one of the most influential people in the world. He's also won Social Breakout Player of the Year and the Epic Award. New York Times wrote, Jeremy Lin has given Asian Americans a popular sports figure to relate to. Lin has donated his money to Harvard and multiple COVID charities and also nonprofits to help the community. Lin truly is a great role model for not just the Asian American community, but the world, on how you can go through hard times and come out the other end still a good person. Leave a comment about what Linsanity meant to you, and if you made it this far, please subscribe to the channel for more.